Hi, Mariah. How are you doing today?
Not that great.
Hmm. So tell me more about that. What's going on?
My husband and I have been having issues and we're just not getting along at all. And I can tell it's affecting our 5-year old. She's having more like outbursts and kind of doing that modeling of what we do.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
That sounds really tough. I'm so sorry to hear that. So I appreciate you coming in today. Um, I would love to look at some different family dynamics, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
So there's a couple different approaches that we can work on, but I really wanted to focus on doing a Genogram together. So have you ever heard of one of those?
No.
It can be a really useful tool. So, this is a way that really just breaks down some things that we inherit. So, we inherit all the things that we normally think about, hair color, eye color, height, the general things. But when we use a Geniogram, we can break down some different, systematic things, some different family things, and we can look at things like belief and ideology, habits, patterns of behavior, ways of expressing emotion, ways of communicating needs. We can look at how we function in relationships. We can look at coping mechanisms. And, I think it could be a great tool to also look at, who we are and who we need to be to receive love. And so
That
I
sounds
think,
good.
yeah, I think it could be a neat tool. As you said, you've had some issues with your husband and it's affecting your daughter. And so we can, just come together and this will be a great tool to just, help us look at patterns and help us just look at ways different people relate to each other, if that
Okay.
sounds like it could be helpful.
Yeah, let's do that.
So this all comes from a Bowenian approach. So essentially, that'll just help us improve emotional function, increase some self awareness, and then we'll also be strengthening some family relationships. If that sounds good to you.
Yeah, that's what I really need.
Yeah. All right. So getting started. Obviously, we won't have time to fully unpack it today, but we can go ahead and start your Geniogram. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about your grandparents. So on your side, we can start with your side first. Are they still together? Are they alive?
All of my grandparents are gone. But they were all married to each other until they passed.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear about that loss.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, it still, sucks, but it's just
And you
story of
said
life.
it is, and the story goes on. So what about your husband and his side of the family?
He doesn't have any grandparents left either.
Okay.
And
Um,
I'm pretty sure his mom's parents were still married, but
okay.
I know his dad's parents got divorced when his dad was young.
Okay. And so tell me about your parents.
My parents are still married.
Okay.
They're good. They're great. They seem like they've kind of figured it out, so to speak.
Yeah. So how old is your mom and how old is your dad?
My mom is 71 and my dad's 72.
Awesome. And you said they're still married. How has that relationship dynamic been for you? Growing up, was it, a calm environment?
I think growing up, I was a very rebellious child, and I know I tested, especially my mom's limits. And I do remember there being like some conflict on how one felt about the situation versus the other.
Mhm.
But I felt like it was just a normal, I guess, childhood, like what other families go through as well.
So you never felt like there was any abuse or anything that was unsafe in your
No.
childhood? Okay. And so tell me about your husband's parents. What were they like?
They were never married.
Okay.
Um, they really didn't stay together long after he was born, from what he told me.
Hmm.
Um, his dad was like in and out of his life, and now that he's older and he has a grandchild, he's like trying to like fix the relationship.
Mm, that can be a hard dynamic.
But my husband's definitely a mother's boy.
So would you say that their relationship is distanced currently, or have they maintained a good
Oh,
relationship?
they like this, and sometimes it's really aggravating because he won't listen to me and my feelings. He's like, "Well, my mom would have done this." And it's like, "But I'm not your mom," like so
That's
yeah.
that's
She
a
can
that's a
do no
great
wrong in his eyes.
that's a hard expectation to keep up with.
It is. It is, and especially when she lives next door.
Oh, that's a hard dynamic. So how does that play out for you guys now?
I hate it because she's always in our business. And I don't get me wrong, I love that she can be there and be a part of our daughter's life. And she is
Mhm.
great with watching her while we work, but she's too involved in his and my personal relationship.
Mm, yeah. So it just sounds like there's not those boundaries that might be
Yeah,
helpful.
no boundaries.
So and we'll talk more about this. I want to get like an overview scope. So I'm taking some notes as we go through this.
Okay.
Um, just, to get an idea of how these patterns are showing up and maybe what some of these dynamics look like for you guys. His parents aren't together. Do you know their ages?
I think they're younger than my parents. I'd probably say in their late 60s.
Late 60s. Okay. And so tell me about you and your husband's relationship. You said there's some turmoil going on. Could you go into a little bit of depth about that?
Right now it just seems like we're always conflicting on things.
Mhm.
I feel that he needs to be more present in our daughter's life, not just physically being present, but being present in that moment as well. And
Mhm.
I'm like, come on, you know what it felt like to have your dad not in your life or be physically present with you. So why would you want our daughter to go through that? So that's our main thing right
Mhm.
now.
And that's where most of the conflict is coming from.
And then, of course, with his mother, because he can do no wrong. So it's always my fault. So,
Mm,
yeah.
those are some hard dynamics. So tell me about your daughter. You said you just have one daughter?
Yeah, she's 5.
Okay.
A lot like I was as a kid, very rebellious and independent and wanting to do her own things.
Mhm. So if you were to describe her in 3 adjectives, what do you think that would be?
Funny,
Mhm.
risk taker, even at 5.
Mhm.
And she's very smart for her age.
Mm,
When she is upset, she talks to me about why she's upset in
mm.
her own way that she can.
So she has strong communication skills, it
Yes.
sounds like. So what is her relationship with your husband?
Kind of like, I guess, she looks at him as fun dad because he doesn't really partake in any of the disciplinary, things as a parent. And he'll give in to her just to have her kind of, I guess, shut up in a sense. Like he just doesn't want to deal with it.
Mhm. That can make for some hard dynamics. So it seems like, even just looking at the few dynamics that we've even talked about, it seems like, there may be a pattern of a little bit of, distant relationships. Does that make sense to you? Does
Yeah,
that sound
most
like,
definitely.
yeah. And it seems like maybe that's more of a pattern on your husband's side than it could be on your side. How does that feel to you?
Very correct.
It does. So, going forward, I want us to continue to look at more family dynamics. I want us to continue to expand on this Genogram. But this at least gives us a good start to see, the immediate family unit, see how you guys are relating to each other, see those emotional connections, maybe see some of those cutoffs. And again, we're just looking at patterns as we go forward and to see, okay, well, this could be even a generational pattern that I might need to break, or, um, you know, a, a generational communication issue that we might need to work on. And so, looking at all these different things, I don't know if you can quite see. So we
Yes.
have so we have the different generations, and we'll go ahead and we'll deep dive into that. But just as we're kind of looking at this first initial assessment, what are your thoughts as we're going through some of this?
I